What's going on, guys? It's Tom or Talk to Wrestling, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're going to be doing something a little different. I used to do videos like these on my channel and I've been wanting to bring it back for a while, so I'm going to be doing this kind of video again, this style of video. First of all, you might have read the title and you might have noticed it's similar to another thing that another YouTuber does, that being Planet Productions, one of my good friends. He's really popularized this style of content, so I got to give the guy credit. I'm leaving Plana's link in the description. If you want to see some of the best wrestling content on YouTube, check his channel out. He rules. Today, we're going to be answering the question to what could have happened had Chyna signed with TNA in 2011 like she nearly did. Before we do get into this video though, I'd like to thank my Patreons, Marky D, Efran Martin, and Alan Barkley. If you guys want to see more exclusive content from me and get other perks, check out my Patreon, linked in the description. It would really help me out during these trying times and would be really appreciated. But enough time wasting, let's just get right into it. First of all, I think it's worth talking about what actually did happen in real life with Chyna in TNA first. I won't talk about it too in depth because I already have an entire video on Chyna's short time in TNA that you can check out, and you should check out, so check that out if you'd like. Kurt Angle was in the midst of an intense feud with Jeff Jarrett in 2011. Jarrett is of course married to Kurt Angle's ex-wife Karen, which made it even more personal, and a match was scheduled for Sacrifice 2011. It would be a mixed tag match between Jeff and Karen Jarrett teaming up to take on Kurt Angle and a mystery partner. And of course, that mystery partner was revealed to be Chyna, making her return to wrestling after 9 years in one of the genuinely most shocking and awesome TNA moments ever. Kurt Angle and Chyna would go on to defeat Karen and Jeff at Sacrifice in what was actually a pretty good and enjoyable match. Chyna got in the ring and hit body slams on Jeff in an awesome throwback moment, and though she did look quite rusty in the ring, it was really cool to see her in the ring, and she and Angle locked in ankle locks to Jeff and Karen, who both tapped out at the same time for them to win. However, this would end up being Chyna's only ever match for TNA and her final ever appearance for the company, and she would never wrestle again. This match remains her last ever match. Supposedly, TNA was very interested in tying down a deal with Chyna and signing her for the company to a proper deal. However, at this time, Chyna was involved in the adult film industry, and according to many sources, TNA was only going to sign Chyna on the condition that she didn't release her second SEX tape. She did release it, and so TNA chose not to sign her, and Sacrifice 2011 remains her only ever TNA match. Chyna signing for TNA could have been a big thing. She was a huge name in the Attitude Era, and loads of people would have tuned into Impact to watch her make her return to full-time wrestling after 9 years. Absolutely no doubt. And there are many ways they could have taken Chyna, whether it be as an occasional wrestler, a manager, a personality, authority figure. She could have wrestled in the Knockouts division. She could have wrestled intergender. There's lots of possibilities for how TNA could have used her, but it just wasn't to be. But I'm here to change that. Today, we talk about what could have happened if Chyna signed for TNA in 2011. Let's get booking. For starters, everything that happened in real life for Chyna in TNA, we're going to keep the same. She's going to debut on Impact as the surprise partner teaming with Kurt Angle to defeat Jeff and Karen Jarrett at Sacrifice 2011. The only difference we're making compared to in real life for the start of Chyna's time in TNA is that we're actually going to sign her, unlike in real life. Following the match, Kurt Angle and Jeff Jarrett are going to continue feuding, and the Chyna match is going to kind of not really be acknowledged too much, and commentary isn't really going to mention Chyna's name or that Kurt Angle got Jeff Jarrett's number as Sacrifice or whatever. This is being done so that fans get the impression that Chyna has not signed a deal. At Slammiversary, Jarrett is defeated by Kurt Angle, and after this, the feud between Angle and Jarrett ends. this was the blow-off match, and Jarrett is not going to be seen on TV for a little while. The next episode of Impact after Slammiversary, Karen Jarrett basically comes out without Jeff and says that Jeff is taking time off to find himself and to find what the problem is, keeping it very vague as to why he's gone. Jarrett isn't going to return until the Hardcore Justice pay-per-view in August of that year, so about 2 months later. All that happens is he's seen entering backstage and greeting Karen, and commentary hype up that he's back. For the next few weeks on Impact, Jeff Jarrett doesn't really say anything in promos, and he just starts squashing people. People like Jesse Neal, Shannon Moore, D'Angelo Dinero are all victims of Jeff Jarrett, and Jarrett has these matches week after week where he just destroys them. At this time, the upcoming pay-per-view is No Surrender, and on the Go Home show to No Surrender, Jeff Jarrett finally gets on the mic for a promo and says that he will be making a Bound for Glory challenge at Turning Point. Who could it be? Wow, it's not like this whole video is about the person he's challenging. Spoiler alert, you kind of already know. But at Turning Point, Jeff Jarrett comes out and he makes his challenge to Chyna to a one-on-one match at Bound for Glory. He says that he is bothered that the person who embarrassed him 10 years ago came back and embarrassed him again. And as a man, he's not going to let her have the last laugh over him. Of course, the last few months, Chyna hasn't been acknowledged on TNA since Sacrifice, but Chyna then comes out after Jarrett calls her out and is making her first appearance in TNA since Sacrifice 4 months ago. She then reveals to Jarrett that she actually signed with TNA shortly after Sacrifice, and the past 4 months she has been training, which is why she hasn't been seen. And she actually has. If TNA was to sign Chyna, I think it's good for her to go away for a bit so she could train, because in the Sacrifice match she was quite rusty, and I think 4 months of training could help her remove that ring rust, or at least contribute towards it. But nonetheless, Chyna accepts Jeff Jarrett's challenge, and at Bound for Glory, we will see Jeff Jarrett versus Chyna one-on-one for the first time in over 10 years. During the build-up to Bound for Glory on Impact, we're going to see Chyna competing in some matches over the next few weeks. She's going to be competing in some one-on-one matches with some strong heel members of the roster, and this will be pretty huge because these will be her first singles matches in a very long time. People like Robbie E, Devon, Kazarian, these strong heel members of the roster that Chyna can beat and just look really good going into her match with Jeff Jarrett. That's the aim of it all. On the Bound for Glory Go Home show, Jarrett and Chyna are signing the contract for their match. Yes, a contract signing, I know, boring. But this contract signing is being done to establish that this match between Jarrett and Chyna is now going to be an I Quit match. Jarrett really wants retribution over Chyna and really wants to embarrass her and make her say the words, I quit. Chyna says, yeah, I'll do an I Quit match. Under one condition, if you say I quit, then you actually have to quit. If you say I quit, you have to leave TNA. Jarrett's career is being put on the line if he accepts this proposal from Chyna. And he says yes, because he wants retribution against Chyna that badly. I should obviously address the elephant in the room. At Bound for Glory 2011, there was actually an I Quit match already between AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels, but as that match was really disappointing, Chyna vs Jarrett is now an I Quit match, and Styles vs Daniels can be a no DQ match, or a scaffold match, or a Royal Rumble, or something, I don't care. So Bound for Glory is pretty stacked right now. Not only do we have Hulk Hogan versus Sting, like there was in real life, we now have Chyna versus Jeff Jarrett. We aren't going to make any other changes to the card or the results of the card compared to real life, other than the women's match where Winter is going to retain the Knockouts title, because that's going to come into play later on. Chyna vs Jarrett is going to take place on the card before Hogan vs Sting, making it the third to last match of the show, and let's just get into how the match goes. Basically in this match, Chyna and Jarrett are just going to fight. They're going to beat the hell out of each other with weapons. There's going to be table spots, and there's just going to be a bunch of stuff to do, like they're just going to beat the crap out of each other. For nostalgia's sake, we'll of course have some callbacks to their old matches in WWF, like their Good Housekeeping match, with spots where they use sinks, toilets, etc., just like the Good Housekeeping match over 10 years ago. Gotta have that nostalgic callback. The story of the match is basically, they're both destroying each other, but Chyna at the same time is also just toying with him and trying to embarrass him even more, whereas Jeff is super serious the entire match and is asking Chyna if she wants to quit pretty much after every move he gets in, because he just desperately wants to beat her. Well, maybe not after every move, because that would be annoying, but you get the idea. He desperately just wants her to say, "I quit." Towards the end of the match, Jarrett comes out and distracts Chyna. Chyna then grabs Jeff's guitar and looks as though she is going to smash Karen over the head with it. What an exclamation point that would be, to use Jeff Jarrett's spot on his own wife. But then from behind, Jeff smashes Chyna over the head with a different guitar. He then grabs the guitar Chyna had and smashes her head with that guitar. So Jeff Jarrett has just smashed 2 guitars on Chyna. After this, Chyna is of course just completely loopy and dazed and weak. So Jarrett then holds Chyna back against the ropes. She holds her arm backs against the ropes, or handcuffs her, it's probably a better idea. Karen handcuffs Chyna to the ropes, both her arms to the ropes, and Jeff Jarrett just starts hitting her with a steel chair while she's completely defenseless. She's taking all this punishment, and then Jeff Jarrett grabs brass knuckles, and he looks as though he's going to punch her in the face with them and just knock her out and potentially injure her very badly. But just as he's about to do it, Chyna quits because she doesn't want to take it, and Jarrett wins the match with help from his wife, Jarrett. But because Jeff Jarrett is a no-good dirty bastard, he punches Chyna in the face with the brass knuckles anyway, even though she quit. Jarrett's arms is raised and he celebrates with his wife as Chyna is laid down on the mat in a bloody mess. It is a very uncomfortable scene, but that's kind of the idea, to put Jeff Jarrett over as just this despicable heel. Obviously, we already know he's a horrible heel, but this even more just proves it. Jeff has finally gotten retribution over Chyna after over 10 years, and in a very emphatic way. With Chyna being absolutely decimated and beaten up and bloodied and injured, her TNA future is uncertain from here. So what happens next? Well, we'll discuss that in part 2. Yes, I'm doing a part 2. I didn't want to make a massively long video, and I thought it's worth splitting them into 2 parts because there's kind of 2 different sections to Chyna's career in TNA. We'll talk about it in the next part though. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy, smack the like button. Let me know when you want to see part 2 of this video. I want to get it up as soon as possible because I really enjoyed writing this video, researching for it, and all that kind of jazz. I love fantasy booking. And if you guys want to see more fantasy booking for TNA, let me know. I've got some ideas for like rebooking Claire Lynch, Aces and Eights, etc, etc. It would be cool. And yeah, I'll see you all soon. Goodbye and keep on rolling.